Okay. The Blue Ridge City Council will meet in special session at 7 p.m. on Monday, March 10th, 2025 at the Blue Ridge Community Center located at 200 West Tilton, Blue Ridge, Texas, with the following items on the agenda for consideration and or action. And we will make notice that the members of the City Council also are on the Economic Development Board, but no business will take care as far as economic development. Item 1, call to order. Roll call. Dave Sturgeon. David Crosswhite. David Apple. Keith Chitwood. Colby Collinsworth. And Rhonda Williams. Item number 2, prayer and pledges of allegiance. If you could all rise, Eve, would you lead us in prayer?
Gracious Father in heaven, we thank you so much for the day which you poured upon us. Thank you for the blessings, and Lord, thank you for your love. We just pray now that you would be with our leaders, our people that are here to help support, and Father, for those that are of great mind to help build the building and the doing of the city of Blue Ridge. I thank you, Father, for all things. Let it be to the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. So thank you, flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for me. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
We're going to make a change on the agenda because we have Commissioner Dale Hale here with us. And so we're going to move item number 9 up to the next position. It's going to receive an open discussion from County Commissioner Dale Hale regarding the proposed emergency service district for Collin County. Would you like this?
I can use the mic too.
Okay.
Got me. Okay. So we received at the beginning of February a petition that met the requirements to have an emergency services district put on to the ballot. And that has set off a chain of events that requires y'all to receive notice. And we've sent out letters. I don't know if y'all have actually received yours or not, but the next action that would happen by the city of Blue Ridge would be to respond to whether you want to include or exclude your extraterritorial jurisdiction in the ESD vote. What an emergency services district is, this is for everyone in the audience as well.
Exactly.
An emergency services district is a governmental entity that is set up specifically to provide emergency services as spelled out in the petition. So it's under the Health and Safety Code 775. I think that's the chapter. The petition basically lists just every possible emergency service underneath that chapter. So it can provide ambulance service, it can provide fire service, it can provide for training. It can pretty much build a fire department if one were decided to by the commissioners. However, I know that when this actually goes to vote, and if it was successful, the commissioners court appoints the commissioners that actually run the emergency services district. And we've put out a statement of principles that you can actually find on the Collin County government website. If you actually go to the Collin County government website, there's very lengthy details and information that you can get just by going to collincountytx.gov. And on the first page, you'll see a fire engine picture. Click on it, and there's a lot of information on there about the ESDs as well. Basically, our statement of principles were that we're going to encourage the commissioners to work with all the existing fire departments and kind of replicate the service model that's been in effect. However, the reason that an ESD petition even got filed was to make whole the fire departments from all the various cities. The county itself just doesn't have the taxing amount in it to be able to raise because of SB2. And I know y'all have probably had different discussions about limits on Senate Bill 2, but basically what that does is it puts a governor of a 3.5% tax increase on any particular budget from year to year. I could see if the county was required to actually build a fire department or to increase by, multiple millions of dollars the amount of funds that the fire departments are asking of Commissioners Court. Well, actually, that would potentially be asked in the Commissioners Court. It would push us over that limit. And what happens is you have roughly 1.1 million, 1.15 million residents that live in cities that already pay city taxes for fire service that would be getting asked to whether or not they want to raise their taxes to pay for services outside the city. So they would end up getting double taxed. So an ESD is basically a petition by individuals to tax themselves some amount to provide for emergency services. And that could be contracts or homegrown, partnering with volunteer fire departments and all of that. Once there's actually a response back from all the cities and we know which ETJs are included or excluded from the vote, we'll know what to put onto the July 21st public hearing to actually set the official boundaries of the ESD that's going to be voted on in the November ballot. It actually requires it to be a November ballot. So the actual vote for this won't be until the end of the year. Once we have those boundaries done, we'll know roughly what tax rate to set on the election that's going to come in November. It'll probably be between 5 cents and 7.5 cents on 100. ESDs can go up to 10 cents. In fact, if you go around the state, there's actually multiple different areas that have an ESD at 10 cents for fire department and another ESD stacked directly on top of it for ambulance service. We don't feel that that's going to be required. I mean, not that we would have a choice. We're responding to a petition that was given to us. It'll probably be far less because we've already been doing the model with all the cities and volunteer fire departments where we've contracted from the county with services. The ESD would then take that over from the county and would contract to provide those services. And it would be any service inside the unincorporated area allowable. And that would also include ambulance service and fire. I don't know what kind of questions y'all have. It's a very long and lengthy topic, but I'm here to answer anything y'all might have.
So I think, Michael, just so everybody kind of here knows, Blue Ridge Fire Department gets paid a fee. We get paid something from the county every time they go outside of the city. Is that correct? And that's any city within Collin County.
Yes.
Can you tell us what that fee is per run, or is it based on the kind of run it is?
It's based on a combination of area of coverage plus the number of calls. And I don't have the number memorized right now.
Right.
It would actually probably be going up quite a bit under an ESD because we all recognize that there's not been an increase.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah, there's
How
not.
long has it been since it's been increased?
There's never been an increase. There's never been an increase. And there's, to that effect, the couple of cities that sent us letters opting out of providing fire service contracts, which was the city of Farmersville and the city of McKinney. And Melissa as well. Yeah, but those two sent the letters in the last year. They have, they just want to be made whole. City of Melissa, they just said, we're out of that game. We just don't want to provide service outside the city limits anymore. We want to focus interior to the city only. So a little different reasoning. But the two cities that opted out, there was no formal request ever put in. There's an actual outside agencies process through every commissioner's court's budget cycle. And we've never been asked to actually increase it either. It may have happened informally through the fire marshal, but no one's ever come to the actual decision makers, which are the commissioners and the county judge. We're the ones that vote on it. It's a little different than city councils where, the city secretary or the city manager is empowered by the city council to make a lot of actions. We're the ones that decide where the dollars go almost exclusively. We're the ones that work with the budget team to actually create the budget. So once again, we've never been asked to actually increase it, other than I had already kind of recognized it was going to be an issue coming up just from chatting with Melissa and just hearing from them. It's not that they opted out for money. I don't think if we offered them $5 million, maybe they would, provide fire service outside their city again, but it really wasn't about that. They had issues with some of the state, with SB2, SB 2038, SB6, some different bills that affected a city's ability to govern in the ETJ area outside the city and to annex property into the city. Basically without permission, they could just, SB6, you could just go annex in without an individual property owner's permission. And they also were upset at Senate Bill 2038, which allows someone just to opt out of the extraterritorial jurisdiction as well. So the Melissa, their choice was different than the other cities' choices.
So I guess Collins is one of the fastest on the
Yes, we're like a second fastest. Yeah, we're like every year we're probably the second or third fastest in the nation.
It's never been a big day. That's never. We're getting a whole lot of.
And actually, it had not. And here's why. The unincorporated area typically had been running about 25 to 35,000 people. Every time there was population that was building up at the edge of the city would annex them in. And then now they have that tax base that's a part of providing fire service inside the city, which all the people that were right at the edge, the developments would build at the edge of the city, or if a large development was going in, the city would annex them in. And so now that becomes part of that city's tax base. So with the change with the SB6 bill, I hate to use the word, but it was a paradigm shift. They say this, it just changed the way of functioning. Now you have an explosion of MUDs, and explosion of subdivisions outside city limits that there's no way for a city to actually, make them come into the city other than to make it harder for them to create that development without water or sewer, or if it's a large enough piece of property, actually just establish their own quasi-governmental entity in a MUD. And so we've had an explosion in the past few years. I think in the past 6 years since I've been on Commissioner's Court, we've gone from having 4 or 5 MUDs to now we have over 30 MUDs in Collin County. So it's just an explosion. And, with that, the Commissioner's Court has always required MUDs to contract with a city to provide, with a city or fire department to actually provide fire service and ambulance service. So we have required that of them. Otherwise, we would oppose them at the state. There were still ways even around that through TCEQ where they could come in and do it anyway administratively and bypass the desired, end result, which is to have those services inside a city-like subdivision.
Thank you.
So with Farmersville and Melissa pulling out, helping the EPJ, what does that do to the other fire department?
So in the Melissa example, they're fully out now. So as of October 1st this year, you have the city of Weston, or the Weston Volunteer Fire Department, which is getting ready to be, it's going to be hybridizing where it's going to have both full-time and part-time. They are now actually serving what was the Melissa Fire District that's outside the city of Melissa. you have a very odd circumstance where you now have Melissa children going to a school in the unincorporated area that won't receive fire coverage from the city of Melissa. And you have a 20 some odd minute drive time from Weston to Melissa. You take Princeton, for example, they're considering this right now. What do? They have 4 schools that are in that unincorporated area, and they have another 2 that are planned. So in the past, the cities would have just annexed those schools in, so they would have been inside the city limits. But the schools now have to either proactively do it, or in some instances they just can't because there's not continuity. You have MUDs, they can actually have different pieces that are scattered and all be part of the same governmental entity. The cities, they have to have adjacency or have development agreements that can daisy chain out to actually get to a property to even voluntarily annex in still. So that you'll end up with situations now where, say Farmersville or McKinney opts out of providing. We'll have to figure out, what volunteer fire department would do it. There's a possibility that actually no one would cover it, or the coverage would be a really long response time. And they ostensibly would still provide mutual aid to whoever the responding agency was. However, the ISO rating is going to skyrocket, and that's an insurance rating that determines how high the insurance costs will go. You may or may not be able to get insurance. You may have your insurance summarily canceled by the insurance companies. Or even in the event that, say you had Weston traveling down to provide, fire service outside of McKinney. It could be that, they get down there. McKinney actually will, but there's already been a couple of instances where Melissa's actually responded to a fire, and they go in, make sure that no one's trapped in the house. So they do it for, life protection measures, but then they just stand back and they just watch the house burn. So it's a bad situation. And it's just, the county has we've never provided fire service. We've also never taxed for that. The county tax rate is under 15 cents on the 100. We are about 25% or greater less tax than the next closest county of our size. Denton County is in the like the low 20s. So their average per house tax is probably about $1,200. Collin County is like $775. So we've just never taxed for it. And now even if we had the willingness to ask the people for it, you're now asking the entire county to raise taxes for something that's only in the unincorporated area. So that'd be a tall ask.
Well, we have a pretty large ETJ, and we've got the one fire department. If this was to pass, would that help us to get 4 stations? Would be fire stations?
Yeah, what we've discussed is we would want to promote, the dollars be used for additional training, get the right model for the area to, provide appropriate compensation for what's going out there. There could be money for grants, definitely additional money for training. It would, and that would be up to the 5 commissioners. We would appoint the commissioners to decide, how to handle the contracting. The county can act from an auditing and a resource perspective to where you're not having to add additional administration just to have extra administration. So our auditors and staff, there would be a small fee from the ESD to our staff to cover their time and cost. And besides that, all the money would just go into providing fire service through existing fire stations, existing fire departments. We have no desire to create a fire department. You can see it on every discussion that we've ever had. We don't want to be creating something else that, even as cities do continue to grow, if there was a new fire department that was built on the other side of Blue Ridge, and Blue Ridge wanted to expand past that because of development, the city then has to assume the debt or assume any costs associated with that piece of property that would have a new fire station on it. We don't want to do that. Now, we could do it in conjunction with like the Blue Ridge Fire Department and, work with them, help them. And when I say we, it would be actually the ESD doing it. It wouldn't be the county.
So basically, if this ESD and it makes it to the November ballot, if this ESD happens to get voted down or whatever, so everybody out here outside the ETJ is without fire coverage, period. And you said.
There would still be, the volunteer fire departments. Farmersville, they would have to decide. Well, there's one correction to that. So the ESD, if y'all say we don't want our ETJ included in the ESD vote, citizens in the ETJ can actually go out if 50% of the people in the ETJ area actually say, yes, you do have to provide us fire service since you're excluding us. Y'all actually have to provide fire service to them.
It makes the city look bad as opposed to the county look bad for not providing, for not increasing the revenue back to the cities.
Well, once again, we haven't ever been, we've only gotten one formal request in from Farmersville out of all the cities that we've asked.
The last time that they even got this up was 13th, I'm not mistaken. When we met with the city, with the fire department stuff here, the last time their rates were there was in 2013. They've never got anything else since that time. And I know the fire people gone back to the commissioner's court and they weren't willing to increase.
That's not true.
I was at one meeting.
There's been no request for any dollars come to the commissioner's court through any budgeting process, any cycle. There is not. I double check, triple check. We have never had any request come in through the commissioner's court's budgeting process. Now, like I said, there may have been requests going, just a request going in perhaps to one of our fire marshals that we've had over the years. But the fire marshal doesn't make a request for Blue Ridge. They don't make a request for Melissa. They don't, our fire marshals don't make requests of from a city council of another city. They just don't do it. It's possible that they made requests in that way, but they didn't talk to the people that actually control the budget and do the votes to even, we can put things onto the budget. We can add stuff onto that, add drop lists and actually have discussion over it during budget cycle.
So how do we do that?
Talk to our budgeting team, talk to our county administrator.
And did you say that the ISO, like if let's say for example, everybody opts out, say that their income will go up or
Yeah, that
or
potential.
drop them because they can't get emergency services out there?
Yeah, I mean, you also wouldn't be able to get, if you aren't able to get fire insurance, you're not going to get a mortgage. So you're going to have to turn around and.
Hold on a minute, you're already, I'm an insurance agent, just so everybody knows. You have a human dry so rating. If you're in an unprotected area, if you're 5 miles outside of a city, you're already a PPC. So you're already unprotected basically. So some companies will insure you unprotected and some won't.
Yeah, just higher rates.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some insurance companies of last resort. There's someone that's going to.
You can get it. You just may.
It may be
Yeah.
instead of you paying $2,000 for your house, you may pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for your house to be protected. So then when you're looking at a difference, that's where the people that place a petition in, and they're looking at maybe it was a nickel or 7.5 cents on 100. The difference between $150 to $250 is less than the cost of the increase in insurance that they would be facing.
You said if 50% of the people in the ETJ got together and said, no, we want you to provide it, we would have to provide it.
The city actually has to provide it. Yeah.
Did other cities, I mean, Melissa's already opted out. Do there people have that option?
It depends on whether they opt in or opt out the people of the ETJ for the vote in November. So I forget the exact.
This is a countywide vote and then even.
Yeah, the way the petition was styled, it's all the unincorporated areas, except for those municipalities that opt out their ETJ, or, they can actually opt in their city too. So like this, I believe Lowry Crossing and perhaps New Hope, they might actually ask to opt in their city. So all that does is it makes the city's value, the ad valorem value inside the city, would then be added into the ESD. And the ESD can spend money to provide services to the city.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so now we're going to go to item number 3, public comments. This is an opportunity for the public to address the council on any matter included in the agenda except public hearings. Comments related to public hearings will be heard when the specific hearing begins. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless the speaker requires the assistance of a translator, in which case the speaker is limited to 6 minutes in accordance with applicable law. To address the council, speakers must complete a speaker form and provide it to the city secretary prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker shall approach the front of the council and state his or her name and street address before speakers can address the council with civility that is conducive to appropriate public discussion. The public cannot speak from the gallery, but only from the front of the council. Per the Texas Open Meetings Act, the council is not permitted to take action on or discuss any items not listed on the agenda. The council may, 1, make a statement of fact regarding the item, 2, make a recitation of existing policy, or 3, propose the item be placed on a future agenda in accordance with the council procedures. And we have a list here. Gwendolyn Reynolds. Okay.
I'll try to tip over my high speed. Hi, I'm Blaine Reynolds, and,
State your
State your
address.
name.
5258 DR 660, Cartersville, Texas.
Mike,
Turn
it on.
Thank you. Turned it off. My voice is pretty loud anyway. Okay, I am here to speak on, is it Korea or Korea? I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Of Princeton. I know that it's at the very last part of it. The development has pretty much gone through. But I have been doing research into this company, into the corporation. And Korea of Princeton is a 501c3 corporation, which is first listed with IRS as a religious entity. And then in 2023, it went on and listed itself as a humanitarian entity. Not one time has it been listed as a developmental company, as a real estate company. And I'm just wondering if the city council has done any research on these entities at all before allowing them to come in. And I don't know the answer to that, only you know the answer to that. I do know that Korea of Princeton has an umbrella over it, and it's called NAIT, which is NAIT, and it is the North American Islamic Trust. And when you accept funds from the North American Islamic Trust, it becomes, they only fund mosques and Islamic schools. So we're getting into a segregated community. I know they say that they will allow, anyone to come in and buy, but from what Nate says, they can't. It's not allowed. And they are the umbrella over 95% of all mosques and Islamic schools in the entire United States. And they are over Quran. And so the problem I have with that is that that's illegal in Texas. You cannot have a segregated community. What happens is when you become part of the North American Islamic Trust, it forms you enter into an agreement that becomes a whack. Pardon me, the time's up. Anyway, I just really want you to look at this because you're getting in trouble. You are getting into a segregated community, and that's not allowed.
Then it has Barbara Isaacs. She here?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I wanted to know, how do I
Can you
know,
step to the right?
I wanted to know, how do I know what time I have?
Ms. Joni is keeping time,
I take the time.
so.
Okay, I'll set my clock. Because I want to make sure I stay on time.
And state your address, please.
Yeah, Barbara Isaacs. It's P.O. Box 79 in Allen. But I also own a property here. Okay, I'm going to hit start. Okay. First of all, I want to thank each of you for letting us speak today. We really appreciate it. I wanted to send some information ahead of time, but I looked at your website and there aren't any emails or phone numbers so that we can contact, each of the town council members, or actually, I guess you call city council members. So I'd like to bring that to your attention because there's no way for us to reach out to y'all. So I consider myself very inclusive. I love all people who love America. And however, it's important that immigrants must learn to assimilate and honor our laws in America. Our framers built this country based on their faith in God. Their wisdom was a blessing, as this is how they created our United States Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. So these are all important things. I have noticed that the Blue Ridge developments are very similar to the Epic City developments, also, which is over in Josephine, that's being developed now. The Epic Ranch 1 and 2 is under development in Josephine currently, and they have plans to build a mosque and an Islamic girls and boys school, as well as housing. Can I ask, I understand because I read the contract, there is a mosque. Is there plans for a school, any schools? Okay, so I think that these two developments are very similar. And if you go on X, Epic Ranch, it's called The Epic Ranches. You can find a lot of information about their sales because they put a lot of information out there about their sales pitches on how they're selling their lots. I'd like to ask the city council, did y'all make a list of pros and cons about why this Blue Ridge developer wanted to be annexed into the city limits? The question is why? Why would they want to be annexed? It seems that it would be more favorable for this new development to be outside the city limits for the developer. Has that been done? Has there been any pros and cons about why the developer wanted to be annexed? I guess not. No? Yes?
Ma'am, this is not an interaction,
Okay.
only for you.
Okay, so I was told that the only thing that they're going to get in exchange is trash service. Well, we have 4 or 5 trash pickup companies here in Blue Ridge, so they're going to have to pay for trash service regardless, and the rest of us do out in the ETJ. So I've read that about other cities that have been approached for annexation like this by developers, because then they have the privilege to vote in local elections, whereas the rest of the people in ETJs cannot. Then later they run for local municipal positions, example, town council, mayor, etc. So they can change our entire makeup of our town. So I just want
to know that you've thought of that. Thank you.
Then has a Lee Moore.
Lee Moore, 1840 Hammerly in Fairview. Thank you for serving your community. I know that you'll all given up a lot of your own time and money to serve here because you care about your community, not only for today, but more importantly for your children and your grandchildren for tomorrow. I appreciate the council reinstating the language regarding HB 89 from the 2017 legislative session. However, I'm concerned about the indirect references and kind of meandering language surrounding this important matter. Currently, I'm navigating my own planning and zoning challenge in Fairview due to ambiguous language in minutes from a 2006 meeting. As an advocate for small towns throughout North Texas, I respectfully urge you to review these documents with careful scrutiny to prevent unintended form and substance implications and to ensure full compliance with all Texas and federal laws, and to make sure that there's no confusion, because I'm living that right now and have been. As you're aware, Attorney General Ken Paxton has noted that the Israel is Texas' fourth largest trading partner, and Governor Abbott has clearly stated that anti-Israel policies are anti-Texan policies. I formally request a 30 to 60 day postponement of all your developmental decisions that you're going to be discussing today. And this critical pause will provide council members the necessary time to thoroughly examine Texas Chapter 2270, Texas Chapter 2271, and HB 89. This careful study will ensure your decisions protect not just current residents, but generations to come. This delay serves multiple crucial purposes beyond the legal compliance. It allows for proper assessment of essential infrastructure concerns, including water resources, the critical fire and police resources that Daryl had talked about today, parking availability, and street capacity, which are all under increasing pressure from your current population growth. Furthermore, your municipal comprehensive plan dates back to 2012, exceeding the 3 to 5 year review cycle recommended by planning experts, and the 5 to 10 year revision timeline advised from municipal consultants. Texas Local Government Code Chapter 7 establishes the comprehensive plan as the foundational framework for Texas communities, which includes Blue Ridge. The decisions you make today will echo for decades. A 30 to 60 delay is a small price to pay for the certainty that you will be building a community that honors the values, respects the laws, and creates a legacy of thoughtful governance for your children and grandchildren. I ask that you demonstrate the courage to pause, reflect, and proceed with wisdom. Your community deserves nothing less. Thank you.
Then Ian Williams.
Who?
Ian
Williams?
Good. Okay. Is it a Dan Scott? Dave Scott? Not close, okay.
Well, good evening, council. My name is Dave Scott. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. With that, I prefer to keep my home address confidential. However, I did want to talk about the segregated community proposal. Blue Ridge is no longer a sleepy town. It's growing rapidly, and growing pains will result. In scouting and camping and work environments, the goal is always to leave areas in better condition than when you arrive. Blue Ridge needs to benchmark and to study impacts seen in other Collin County and North Texas communities from developments. I'm requesting that you take a brief 30 to 60 day pause before voting on developments to give you time to review unintended consequences and untested uses, because it's easier to prevent issues than to try to fix them later. Blue Ridge has no police force. A county commissioner has recently told us multiple times that hiring additional deputies or sheriffs is not being approved due to the fact that the goal is to keep the county tax rate low, and because county funds are being directed to a high-cost jail expansion. Were the owners and developers of the developments transparent with you regarding what buildings and what functions they will place on the land? Have they discussed the high volume of traffic and large number of events that will host every day? If so, that's great. Have you contacted Sheriff Skinner about increased police coverage that will be required? Have you benchmarked with other calling cities such as Plano to ask about the large number of police needed to direct traffic for daily events, inside developments, and to handle frequent special events which require 5 or more Plano police units just to direct traffic? Have you considered the cost of Blue Ridge residents and the increased police presence that will be needed as soon as the next 1 to 2 years? Have you shared that increased cost with the residents? Will you please study and share that solution? Will you ask Collin County commissioners to increase Collin County taxes so Blue Ridge can have sufficient police coverage? Are your citizens able to absorb the increased taxes for increased police service? Or have you benchmarked to determine the cost of hiring your own police force? If the county can't help you, which will result in a large cost of impact to the residents, please pause your decision until you can review Texas Code 1701 and the Texas Administrative Code and ICMA Public Safety Management White Paper describing an average of 2.5 officers is needed per 1,000 in the population. The city of Josephine is trying to maintain 11 to 15 officers, but there is also a shortage on local, state, and national police officers. I know from past experience that high-density communities suffer greatly when you don't have enough police coverage. I worked in a community that was basically 1 officer per 1,000 residents. The national average should be, for safety, at least 2.5 officers per 1,000. You're going to fall far below that ratio, whether you've got sheriff's department coverage or your own police department, if you allow this community to come in and build hundreds and hundreds of homes that's going to increase your population. Thank you for your serious consideration. I appreciate your time and your service to your community.
Have a Deborah Goodman.
Deborah. Audrey Simon.
We have a Deborah Goodman.
Deborah Goodman?
No, Deborah Goodman. Okay. Karen Tauber. Glaber, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Karen Teubert, and I am president of Grayson County. I live at 326 South Main Drive, and that's in Van Alstyne, Texas. I'm here to talk about something totally different, and I make you aware, if you haven't already heard, about BESS, B-E-S-S, which stands for Battery Energy Storage Systems. One is currently being built in Savoy, and the residents there were totally caught off guard because they came in the back way and the residents didn't know about it. And so I'm encouraging you to join the fight against unsafe battery storage in Texas and to raise awareness about potential dangers and hazards these facilities pose to the environment and public health. And there is a petition that's going around, Don't Mess with Texas. And there are approximately 940 of these facilities planned for Texas. I attended a town hall meeting in Savoy on Tuesday, March 4th, where the residents voiced their concerns, and it got very heated and people stormed out. The it's a Houston-based company called Engie, E-N-G-I-E, that is building the best facilities. The company states that the system holds energy in batteries, so if the grid starts to struggle, the facility can pump in stored energy. In Savoy, they are building a 300 megawatt facility 700 yards away from an elementary school. Fortunately for them, it's just outside the city limits. The entire town was unaware of what was going on until they just now found out about it. And the facility is a series of lithium batteries that are stored inside of metal containers, like those metal containers for storing things. And they can, if they burn, it's a terrible mess. So the problems that they're experiencing are that the volunteer fire departments are not equipped to fight these fires. They're building near schools, so there's health concerns for the children. They're building near the river, and there's water pollution. If you just think about East Palestine, Ohio, and the problems there. And then the increased cost of electricity, decreased reliability of our grid, and the toxic gases if a fire breaks out. And an example is the Moss Landing power plant. Thank you very much.
Now I have to get forward.
Good evening. Thank you so much for giving us the time to talk tonight. My name is Jet Boer, and I'm at 6009 Parker Road in Plano. Born and bred Texan. Grew up in a little town much like this one. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your contribution to taking care of our communities. Aside from the fact that segregated communities like this, religious communities like this, is illegal in Texas, the Sharia law that they practice is also illegal in Texas, and our governor has been very outspoken about this. All I ask is that you look into the Sharia law and what they believe. It is not what we believe. More important, I'd ask you to look into these same communities that have basically become compounds that take over entire towns and cities, then counties that are in New Jersey. Look in, and if you want to know about these, we can get you information about them, both in New Jersey and in Michigan, where we have family and friends. It's destroyed their communities. They come in and take over their city council, all their judges' positions, and anything else that's elected. And they change the entire community's culture to be their own. All I'm asking is that you pause. Don't make this decision tonight. Take 30 days, 60 days. Let us get some of this information to you about other communities that have been approved just like this one in other states, and see the impact it has made on their state, not just their town. We'll be glad to do that for you. And thank you so much for your time.
I have a Steve Booth.
Yes.
No. I have a Dawn and Karen Lawrence.
Don Morris.
Dawn and Karen Lawrence.
Oh, Lawrence. I can't hear you.
Well, first-
There you go.
All right, Dawn and Karen Lawrence. Okay. You just signed in. Okay. Adam Matt and Alicia Thorson. Okay. Good. Michelle Foster.
I'm Michelle Foster. I live at 9125 Knob Hill Drive in North Richland Hills, Texas. I came tonight because I do have some concerns about the developments that people have been talking about. Barbara referenced the Epic Ranches, and I went on their website on February 15th, and this is what they had on their website. Our offering is open to any person we approve within the property and investment laws of the United States. Because we are residents of this community, we have an interest in protecting our community. As a result, we will limit sales to only persons we believe
will contribute to the overall makeup of our community and are legally eligible to invest and buy property in the United States. That screams at me Title VII violations potentially. Race, gender, ethnic background, religious. Some people have spoken about the religious aspects of these communities. My question is on deed restrictions. Who implements the deed restrictions? Who draws them up? Is there any oversight from the city council or anybody else? What is the legality of deed restrictions? I know from previous experience that when you buy a home, typically you only get the deed restrictions when you go and close with the title company. And then surprise, I didn't know that this was, part of what I was buying into. So I would just ask that there be some information asked about the deed restrictions, and what the paragraph that I read to you has since been taken down. I don't know when it was taken down, but it's not there anymore. And who we are, who are we? And again, it says who we believe will contribute to the overall makeup of our community. And if these are going to have mosque and Islamic religious aspects in that community, how big are they? Is it going to be open to everybody, or is it just Islam? That's not happening.
Yeah, Wendy Mattingly. It's not Wendy. Oh, there she is.
Good evening. Wendy Mattingly, 415 West FM 545. As a resident of the city of Blue Ridge, I want to ensure that our city maintains a superior reputation. With that in mind, prior to entering into the new development agreements and resolutions in items 11, 12, 13, and 14, I suggest that the city first address some errors and or omissions in the annexation ordinance number 2024-1001-003 that was filed December 6, 2024, regarding an approximate 141.254 acres in the D. Van Winkle survey. The ones that I noticed, because I did review this document, there's a tract 5, and the legal description is incomplete. I've done this for 40 years. A legal description starts with a preamble, then has a point of beginning, and then the calls start. This just starts with calls. There's no preamble. There's no point of beginning. Track number 8, I don't know where that came from. The preamble of the ordinance itself says there's 7 tracts that make up 141 acres. There is a tract 8 included in the legal description that is like a 17.45 acre tract. The CAD number is not listed on the preamble. It is totally different. I've looked it up. So I don't know how that even got attached to this document. The Exhibit C, which is supposed to be the written service agreement that's supposed to be attached. The one that was attached is for a 31.969 acre tract in the M. survey, not even the property that was annexed. So where is the correct written service agreement? I know the city has changed the zoning on this property, and I cannot find that zoning ordinance has been filed with record. If you've got the recording information, if you could give it to me, I'd appreciate it. Next, on the 31.969 acre tract, I cannot find the ordinance annexing the property filed of record. Again, if it's been filed, could you please, give me the filing number? The only thing I found on that's filed of record is the zoning change ordinance. And there is an Exhibit C, development standards attached, and it's not.
Thank you. I just would like you to look at these issues before you move on. Let's be a superior city. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a Krista Shield. Okay.
Hi, thank you. Krista Shield, 5019 Durand Drive, Forest City, Texas. I would like to address page 139, item 16 about CapTex banking. We need clarification on what that banking would entail between you and the developers. That unclear item is a red flag for me, so I'd really appreciate it if you would address that. When Mr. Hill talked about not getting a mortgage without fire insurance, and we discussed NATE, North American Islamic Trust. Did you know that NATE is a Hamas organization? It is the way that they bank with 0% interest. And so if they don't go a traditional route, they don't necessarily have to do those things that you and I have to do. Also, under U.S. versus Holy Land Foundation trial in 2008 that took place right here in the DFW area, the findings were that CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, is lawyered up with about 70 lawyers to take you guys on, is also a Hamas organization and are with the Muslim Brotherhood in America. They are currently unindicted co-conspirators only because Obama became president right after those findings, but Eric Holder in charge of the DOJ. And they swept all of that under the rug, but I assure you it's about to be revisited, so please don't land on the wrong side of this issue. Also, if you would like to see videographic and photographic evidence of those folks who are in charge of this development and their Islamic centers, the leader of the Islamic Center and this development have videos online, many videos. They usually go to sleep at night listening to those. And they talk about BDS, boycotting, divestment, and sanctions on Israel. They talk about being most Sharia compliant and demand Sharia compliance of everybody who's purchased a property coming in, including paying zakat to the Mosque or Islamic Center, and an eighth of zakat goes to fund terrorist organizations. I have videos on my phone of CARE demanding, and these people who are developing, demanding the release of an Al-Qaeda operative out of Carswell Federal Prison in 2021. And that woman worked for Al-Qaeda and was building bombs to take out our officers in Afghanistan, and had a list on her dirty bombs that they were going to plant and build right here in America. So that is you're dealing with, and I think you ought to know that going in, and it's not going to end well if you allow this development to continue. Thank you.
Cindy Pepper. We have a Cindy Pepper from Celeste. Once again, Cindy Caprock. CAPROCK. That's no. I have a Carl Schaefer.
So Carl Schaefer, 13 Winding Creek Drive in Frisco. Thanks for giving me a moment. I won't take the total 3 minutes. Just going back or going up to the 30,000 foot level of the four great religions in the world. Islam is a little bit different than all the others because their text is a combination of a religious document as well as a political system. So as such, as a political system, it's in complete, and it hit our Constitution. It hits the Texas Constitution. It also hits lots of laws and things that we have right now. So, and the state constitution. So overall, because it is both a political document as well as a religious document, it is fraught with danger for anybody that is having a different system, which we do have, which is based on our Constitution. So I'd like you to take that into account. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's my wife. I don't know.
Now I have a Pat Everson. Okay.
Thank you. If Epic 2 follows
State your
Epic,
address, please.
oh yes, Pat Abramson, Celeste, Texas. If they follow the project in Josephine, Texas, Epic City is planned as a 402-acre community whose goal is to create a Muslim-centric environment. And per their website, Epic City aims to serve the evolving needs of Muslims. The cradle-to-grave community refers to Epic 2's goal of being a self-contained community where residents can live their entire lives from birth through to the grave without needing to leave for essential services. The construction of a self-enclosed community like this one, that's isolated and self-sufficient, can potentially have several negative effects on surrounding communities, including economic, social, political, public resources, infrastructure, educational. A significant concern for communities like this is the lack of oversight. Can current residents get a pledge from local government about how frequent communication and audits will be planned and then adhered to? The concept of creating a community that is open to all people can raise questions about whether it is discriminatory. It comes down to how inclusive the community truly is. Can this group provide any examples of what has been done in the past and what the participation rate of non-Muslims was? According to epicmasjid.org, Epic City and Josephine plans to host various community events, activities, educational programs. Can we get examples of how this may have been done in the past by the Plano Islamic community anywhere in the Metroplex? Epic City's stated goal is to create a diverse, multicultural community. Can we get examples of where this may have been done in the past? Can we get examples of what could be planned to further this goal? According to their website, Epic is known for its community engagement and charitable work that benefit the broader area. Can we get examples of what and where this may have been done in the past? Tax issues. Epic 2 will be exempt from paying property taxes, may be exempt from sales taxes, could also be exempt from paying federal income taxes. Revenue generated by religious activities may also be exempt from income tax. Salaries of teachers and administrators may be eligible for tax exemptions. Schools' operational costs, including supplies and services, could potentially be exempt from sales tax or have other deductions. Will our local government plan to see whether Epic will be using its land for non-religious purposes, i.e. housing, businesses that are not eligible for tax exemptions? Can our community know how often these types of audits will be conducted? Thank you so much for your time.
And Alex, Sabrina, David?
Yeah, we're just signing in.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Cassandra Wilson?
Yeah, mistaken sign and sheet.
Pauline Todd? Yeah. Alan Brenda Stone?
We were just signing in.
Okay.
But can I speak?
Sure. Yeah. You're on the sheet, yes, ma'am. Come on up.
11550 County Road 571 here in Blue Ridge, Texas.
And sorry, your name, please?
Brenda Stone.
Thank you.
And I didn't plan on speaking. This is the first time we've been to a Blue Ridge council meeting. We've been in Blue Ridge since we bought property in 2018, born and raised in McKinney, Texas. But I wanted to say this past election in 2024, it really woke me up to things that were going on in our country. And I just kind of been living in my little protected bubble and not thinking about things. But, so we came tonight just to start getting involved with the local, uh, uh, politics. But, I didn't realize the discussion that was gonna be going on. And it's really scary with what's going on. And I just want to thank the people that have come up and spoke to you. And I hope that you will consider what they have said and the information that they have provided to you. But I just want to say that this is really very scary to me.
Thank you.
Then I have a Aaron Zimmerman.
Hey, doing Eric Zimmerman, my handwriting's sloppy.
State your address, please.
1001 Private Road 5868 Blue Ridge. And just off the cuff, I looked at the agenda and I had a couple thoughts. One was based on the Emergency Services District and the amount of housing that's going into the community. And we're about 30 minutes out with any EMS call. And I say that as a paramedic and an ER nurse. So there's a pretty lengthy response time. And I think we have to consider local healthcare, hospitals. And I was just wondering if you guys have any plans for anything like that. That's all.
Thank you. I don't have anyone else on here. Did I miss anybody that thinks they should have signed up to do them? No? Okay. Well, thank you all for the discussion and your items that you brought forward to the council. I appreciate those. Item number 4 will be items of community interest. Pursuant to section 551.0415 Texas Government Code, the mayor and city council may report on items of community interest, including expressions of thanks, congratulations, or condolence, information regarding holiday schedules, recognition of individuals, reminders about upcoming city events, information about community events, and announcements involving imminent threat to public health and safety. No action will be taken on any of the community interests. You have.
I do. Council, I just want you to be aware that we were funded through the Texas Parks and Wildlife in conjunction with the Collin County Open Space Grant to start the beginning of Maui Park, which is going to be on the west side of Paradise Estates, that is city-owned property. And that will then become a really nice park for the city, our first real adult park. So we're super excited about that. It is going to take care of all of the preliminary of the beginnings of the park, which is environmental, biological, and things of that nature. So we won't actually see construction until the next phase, but at least this gets us up and running.
Item 5 is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda for discussion of possible actions are considered to be routine by the city council and require little or no deliberation. There will not be a separate discussion of these items, and the consent agenda items will be enacted by one vote. If a council member expresses a desire to discuss a matter listed on the consent agenda, the item will be considered separately. A, discuss, approve, or disapprove the minutes from special session held January 7th, 2025, regular session held January 7th, 2025, regular session held February 4th, 2025, and special session held February 17th, 2025. B, public works update. C, city financial report. D, fire department report. E, animal control report. F, new permit report. And G, write-offs for utility billing. Will we all have those in our packets? Does somebody entertain a motion?
Second.
Motion by Cody and second by Dave, all in favor? Okay. Item number 6, consider discuss act upon closing the downtown square for the Saturday night Blue Ridge event sponsored by the Blue Ridge Youth Sports Association to be held September 6, 2025 from 11 a.m. to midnight. I don't know if we have anyone here from Brazos to just talk about that, either say. That's kind of what all the came from. It's all hand in the back back there.
Do you want me up there?
Sure, if you want to come, just come tell the camp. That way, everybody out here can tell too, and more people. Should be on the schedule.
Well,
Maybe not.
Okay.
Okay.
my name is Cassandra Wilson, and I'm just representing BRISA. We are part of the youth sports here for the younger kids. And Saturday night in Blue Ridge was big before my time before I was here, but it was a huge event. Everybody's still talking about it. Lots of events that was like at least a 12-hour deal, barbecue cook-off, games, pageants. It was just a really big community get together. We're trying really hard to bring it back. It's taking a really big team effort right now, and we could really use the support of the council to borrow the downtown and close it for 12 or 13 hours to get everything set up and provide an entertainment for the community.
And that's, we already have a sign off from all the people on the square, so.
Are we able to waive this fee?
Yes.
Okay.
With council.
Okay. Are y'all bringing back, question like, are you gonna use it, live music, or y'all gonna do other than that?
Yeah, we're gonna try to bring back the live music, and I have a whole plethora of sheets that people have brought to your table, so we've got probably all your old favorites will come back.
Perfect. Any other discussion regarding this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it and also waive the fee.
I'll second.
Stacy, all in favor? Okay. Item number 7, consider discuss and act upon resolution 2025-0310-001, designating the Farmersville Times as the official newspaper for the city's fiscal year 2024-2025.
So council recently, the Lynn Graphic, which was our designated paper, closed. So the Farmersville Times does meet all of the statute requirements in order to be a designated newspaper for the city. So this is going to complete that our fiscal year.
Make a motion to approve number 7.
All in favor? Item number 8, consider discuss and act upon resolution 2025-0310-002, authorizing membership in Atmos City's Steering Committee and payment of 5 cents per capita to Atmos City Steering Committee to fund regulatory and related activities to Atmos Energy Corporation.
This is our annual renewal that we do with Atmos City Steering Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve item rate.
Motion by Cole, second by Keith. All in favor? That is open, motion carried. Item number 10, consider discuss act upon permanent utility easement for the Blue Ridge Independent School District. Do you have information regarding this?
So this is a utility easement that's going to be on the north end of the property, connecting the property to the perimeter road, Tiger Lane. This is going to be for a sidewalk and for water utility only. But the school board has got to adopt this, so the question would be, would the council approve this contingent upon approval of the school district? The school board has to meet with this also, because they're getting this through it. This is in exchange with the Blue Ridge North subdivision.
We wait to approve this until we're for sure.
You can, we can table this until the April meeting.
I would feel more comfortable doing that. But is the sidewalk gonna be on the east side or the west side?
You mean the north side? It's gonna be the sidewalk and then it'll be on the north side of that, but it's on Tiger Lane, it's gonna be on the west side. Because the property is on the west side.
Right. Go to the west side going north to south.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm making a motion to table. I don't know, Jim, until we hear back from the school district.
Second,
I'll say that.
all in favor? Yeah, information.
Mayor,
Brittany,
I recommend that the council consider tabling number 11, 12, 13, and 14 while we can confirm proper recordation of the annexation ordinances.
Somebody need a motion by the council, so
I'll make a motion to table items number 11, 12, 13, and 14.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor? Yes, yes. Tammy, David? You, yes, okay, sorry. Okay,
May I ask a question?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And 15.
Can I add to table item number 15 as well?
Correct.
No motion.
So the table those items.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question?
Sure. I'll turn it on. Who wishes to speak?
Sure, that's fine.
Let me ask a question. This is in regard to.
State your name and address.
It's still not on.
My name is Ronald Dubner, live at 3604 Dandelion in Plano, Texas. In connection with the tabling of the items just now that relates to the development agreement, I would like to point out and ask you to consider the Attorney General's opinion, which I will provide for you, that says it is the responsibility of all government entities to exercise due diligence to uphold both the letter and spirit of the law. All government entities are advised to exercise their own due diligence and monitor compliance with the government code, which includes chapter 2271, which has to do with the boycott of Israel. I would suggest that that provision should be, and that's 4.22 in both development agreements. I suggest that that provision should be submitted to the Attorney General's office to determine if it is in compliance with 2271, 001, and 002. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I think it's something that's on, I've moved all around it here, so bear with me just a moment. Okay. Now on to item number 16, executive session. In accordance with the Government Code Section 551.001, the City Council will recess into executive session, closed meeting to discuss the following. 551.071, consultation with attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental code and the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter regarding ordinance number 2025-0304-001, City Administrator. 551.074 personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee regarding city administrator. So that will be at 8:20.
At this time, the city council is going into a closed session. So thank you very much for coming and attending. For all of your questions and comments, thank you very much. I will ask everyone now to exit so that they can have a complete break.
Like a motion. I'll second.